Fab fans, the Glam's new video. I'll be continuing the diamond art. We'll see how far I can get, and as much as I can do. I still have a few trays to go through before I can start on any of the other colors. Did you know spider legs are controlled with blood pressure? That's why when they die, their legs shriveled up. It's because their blood is no longer pumping into their body parts. Something I always think about is how many books have been burned in this world, and how much information has been lost because of prejudice, hate, discrimination, even slight stereotyping. I mean, even the Bible has not remained untouched. Something that I do unintentionally is I speak my frustration in a different language. Like, I use swears from other languages, or I talk shit in other languages than my main one, which is English. And it's mainly because in public, with people I don't know, I don't want them to understand what I'm saying. I want it to be gibberish, but they can understand that I'm frustrated, but not what I'm saying, which is usually an insult that I don't mean in general, but in the moment, I say it anyway. Sometimes while filming, I speak more openly because I know I'm alone. My nose is very stuffy. That's not a good sign. I'm just glad my friend finally got her kid into school, so now I won't have to babysit the little sucker. It's not that I don't like the kid, it's just I don't like babysitting in general. Especially to a little human that does not respect me. Like, I know you can't just demand respect, but, like, I don't beat your ass. I explained to you why what you did was wrong. I deserve at least a little bit respect of holding my composure. Because the mom does not hold her composure. She does explain things, but she will beat his ass. In the most non-abusive way. Open palm laws and all that. Sometimes I pretend to throw things at him, though. But it's mainly because I just want to see them duck. One day he'll eventually learn that I won't throw the item, but I will expect him to walk over and grab the item. The main reason I don't throw things is because I don't want him to throw things. Her kid is definitely the exact kind of kid, though, that will end up in bad crowds, so she's gonna have a blast raising this one. Not a lot of G's down here. All the G's are kind of like higher up. Those are not a lot of C's. Well, I guess there's more C's over here. Fuck off, computer. I feel like Daz games because my computer has low disk space at all times. And no matter what I delete and what I clear, it just still has low disk space. Definitely have some form of allergy. Or even some nasal med. Ah, well, the seasons are changing then. When I sprayed it up my nose, it immediately started to sting, but only on one side. I feel like I got a shot in my brain. I don't know what nerve ending I hit, but definitely something got hit. I hope I don't get like a sore throat or anything. But I know whenever I get nasal congestion, a sore throat is gonna come. So I'm just doomed. I don't know, but the spray definitely helped since air is finally getting through that nostril. At least Diamond Art is very relaxing. Because when I'm already upset, like right now, allergies have me tearing up because they're actually kind of painful. Um, I can still be at peace and calm. I know people think I would like cry over an ex, but I know I'm not the one who really lost a lot. Especially when I don't think I ever had much to begin with when I started that relationship. I mean, from what little I described about her to my friends and stuff, it was all just, everyone was like, yeah, she is a little too immature for you. Despite us only being a year difference in age. But that can be a lot for some people when it comes to maturity level. I mean, you can still be ignorant while being mature. Ignorance doesn't always equal maturity. Because I was mature when I was younger, sure, but I was ignorant. Being mature and ignorant is a dangerous combination. Which is why I lay things down as facts of just society and life. Because facts are what protect people. Information is what protects people. The more we learn and fight for what our beliefs are, the more safe we feel. I just kind of ran across a video about, like, wedding attire. I only own a few formal dresses that I could even remotely considered as, like, wedding attire. And all of them had some semblance of white in them, but they were mostly floral patterned. And the only reason they had any white in them at all is because they were Easter dresses. I wore them to church for Easter celebration with my grandmother. I owned no colorful dresses, and I didn't really own much of any form of dresses at all. And my parents wouldn't let me wear pants. They were like, you have to wear a dress at a wedding if you were born a female. But also, apparently, a bunch of them are talking behind my back, being like, if she just left the house, she'd have a husband. And all of them keep talking about, oh, she should have a husband, she should get a husband, she should be married. But what if they don't want to be in a relationship with a man? What if they don't want to be married anytime soon? They being me. Or anyone in a similar situation. Why are people so hung up on those things? I get it. My parents won't be around forever, so if I were to ever be in a relationship, they'd want me to get married quite quickly. But they also kind of want me to marry someone who's rich and have a sugar mama or a sugar daddy. They specifically want the sugar daddy for me. But they want me to be provided for my entire life. They don't want me to have to work. But I want to work for all of my things. Which is something my dad really struggles to understand. Because my dad just wants me to be provided for my whole life. He doesn't want me to earn anything on my own. He doesn't really like seeing me have accomplishments, as far as I've seen. The only time my mom has ever said she was proud of me is when I swore at her for the first time and showed that I was rebelling. But I've always been a straight A form of student. I've always been what's considered the most normal, high-achieving types of person. But my parents don't want me to be high-achieving, they want me to be in a different situation. I don't want to be provided for. I don't even really like it when my friends give me gifts. I'm very thankful for them, yes, but I value them being around me more than anything money could ever buy me. I value them as people more than I value stuff. Because I've always had stuff, but I've never had people. I mean, saying people's pride gets in their way sometimes. It really does. I A few of my costumes were gifted to me by one of my moderators. The thing about those is I would have just bought them myself if they didn't buy them for me. $300 is just one of my paychecks. That's nothing to me because a week goes by in mere minutes to me. A week feels like nothing. But I also haven't lived very long, so having every single day feel the same makes everything feel a lot less big. But whenever it came down to perspective of money for me, $300 basically is nothing, especially nowadays. Sure, it can help you. It can be nice. But it's basically nothing. Especially when I can get it back in less than 7 days. That's why I was like, their pride is getting in their way. Because a gift is really not as important as actually just being there for a person emotionally. But I don't let people be there for me emotionally. I usually help them out emotionally. So at the end of the day, I think the only times I've ever truly shown my emotions to anyone was my friend Gabby. She's one of the few people I've actually cried in front of because I just couldn't take it anymore. That I was overwhelmed and didn't know how to talk about it. Because sometimes when I'm overwhelmed, it's because I have so much going on in my life that I just can't anything. I can't speak, I can't think. And it's not like I had time to write. One of my favorite things to do to relax is to write stories, as that's what I put my full sense of emotion into. Stay hydrated. Anyway, when I first started writing Chaos Castle, each character had a very deep emotional connection with something that has happened in my life. Dahlia's story, her whole theme is written around a person who struggles with their sexual identity. I, in essence, am gonna make her character straight, but it's more of the feeling of romantic feelings in all. That's the growth of her story. That's what its goal is for her to finally be able to understand emotions. Her story might not even ever be completed. She might never fully understand. and just find a way to be complacent with a lack of understanding. And just be like, well, I know enough. And that's good enough. But I don't know where her story's going yet. I can have an idea, but nothing precise or exact. With Eliza, hers is struggling with obsession and not letting her obsession consume her. But instead balancing between obsession and creating her own path away from it or alongside it. She struggles with her obsession of true love and connection to a person that could never love her. And in essence, she does not need anyone, but she still wants love. Because most people want some form of love. Samantha and his struggle with honesty and to avoid bottling up his emotions. Scarlett and her lack of trust. She is a rose bush of thorns. But she refuses to grow the flowers in her own heart. So she focuses her energy on growing the thorns, as they are what have kept her safe and alive. Letting down her wall of thorns is her form of growth. Finally, being able to trust again. Finally feeling safe. Not having to sleep with one eye open. Wen is looking for freedom. They don't want to be tied down. They want to feel free. That's why whenever they can make a choice, they do. And stay true to themselves. But they're also a strict rule follower. And rules constrict you. They can prevent you from evolving or improving. I inherently don't like to follow rules. Out of all of the characters, the one that has the most balance is Sir Hine. But they like rules, and they like structure. But they have freedom. So I guess they're looking for guidance. A person who will take the reins for them so that they don't have to make all the hard decisions themselves. Which is probably why I paired them with Scarlet. When it comes down to their deepest affections. Scarlet wants safety. And Sir Hine wants to give someone control. If she's in control of her partner and knows they will listen, she'll feel safe. And he'll feel less burdened by the ability of authority. Not all people want to be in charge, which is actually one of Gwen's biggest things. They want freedom from control. If you have read the most recent chapter, or all of them together, I would recommend it so that you can understand deeply how all of these themes really do fit in the whole story. Aurora's character always has people leave her. Her biggest thing is she doesn't want to be alone anymore. Let the dead be dead and live your life with the living. She doesn't want to be stuck in the past. She wants to live. Finally live. Be human, in a sense. The king and queen just want to survive together and have a happy family and maintain peace amongst the people of their home and kingdom. Have peace between humans and the fairies and all of magic folk. They want the harmony of the kingdom and the people so that mundane life can go on. 'cause cultures can be shared, not burdened, not stolen. Now General Gorgon, they're a very possessive character. But I don't really know what I can say about their storyline without spoiling any, because most of what I plan for the character could easily be spoiled if I said anything about how they feel. But their story is about not hiding who they are and finally being themselves instead of a social image or the mask that they hide behind. They don't want to be fake, and they do not want to lie about who they are, but they don't feel like they can tell the truth out of fear that they'll lose respect, that they'll lose friends, that they'll be scorned or hated. There really is not a lot of Jews down here. Victoria has her own story, too. Hers is about what it's like to go insane and lose who you are to insanity, to a mental illness. And I find that one personal because it's a story about how abuse can make you lose every aspect of yourself till you are nothing but what your abuser was to you. It's a story about how a person becomes an abuser because they couldn't handle being nice anymore. because they kept getting hurt. So they gave up on being nice. Which is kind of a really sad story out of them all. And I hope you really grow to pity her. Yes, she is the villain of my story. But as much as she became an abuser, her story, I hope it's understandable, as she couldn't take it anymore. But instead of ending it, she became the abuser herself. She became what she hated the most. A villain. Nobody chooses to become a villain. They become one because of circumstance around them. Opportunities led to where they are. Something about Xena, though, is I wanted her to be the breaker of the cycle of pain and abuse. What happens if someone does intervene to help? Does show her that there's still kindness. Because usually the thing that stops a person who's abused from becoming their abuser is a person who sees them for their nature rather than their nurture. Well, anyway, I didn't get very far. But peace, love, have a good day, my fab fans, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.